On his first day at school, this student was bullied by a gang of delinquents who dragged him up to the rooftop. The gang leader punched Diho hard in the face, but having grown accustomed to beatings, he barely felt the pain, even as blood started to trickle from his mouth. Little did the bullies know that the young man they were tormenting was, in fact, a highly trained North Korean spy operating undercover in the South. Assuming a new identity as Diho, he worked to blend into the school environment, using it as the perfect cover for his mission. He was once known as Myung-han. Memories of his past continued to haunt him, especially thoughts of his sister, who remained imprisoned back home. When he entered his new school, the first person Diho met was Hyun, a polite girl who, by coincidence, shared the same name as his sister. But their conversation lasted long before the gang of bullies showed up, immediately harassing him and forcing him onto the rooftop. Despite their threats, Diho remained calm, carefully concealing his true identity. The leader of the group struck Diho hard in the face, but Diho, accustomed to such beatings, barely flinched, even as blood trickled from his mouth. Another bully, surprised by Diho's resilience, commented that his body felt as solid as someone who had trained intensively. Searching him, the bully found Diho's wallet and pulled it out. Inside were some cash and a family photo featuring Diho, his sister, and his late father. Diho firmly told them they could take the money but demanded the photo be returned. When they ignored his warning, Diho swiftly snatched the photo back, clenching his fist as he prepared to fight. At that moment, the teacher arrived on the rooftop and ordered everyone to return to class. To vent his frustration, Diho played a few rounds of basketball, mindful that starting a fight could compromise his mission and risk exposing his cover. Back in the classroom, the teacher resumed playfully teasing the students, occasionally tapping them lightly with a wooden stick he had brought. Before leaving, he reminded the class of their cleaning duty, instructing them to complete it in his absence. The bullies claimed a corner of the classroom as their own and ordered Diho and Hyun to clean it, even the windows. The next day, they set their sights on Hyun again. Diho hated witnessing the abuse but knew he couldn't risk exposing himself by stepping in, so he held back. Instead, he quietly helped Hyun pick up the trash they had cruelly thrown at her. The bullies laughed and taunted them, calling them the loser duo. Their harassment, however, didn't end there. After class, they dragged Hyun into a private office and stole an envelope of money she had saved for her treasured ballet lessons. When Hyun tried to retrieve it, they tore her shirt in the struggle. At that moment, Diho entered the office, realizing the bullies had gone too far and justice was overdue. Without hesitation, he took them down one by one, breaking their necks, legs and wrists, delivering a harsh but deserved punishment. The next morning, Diho noticed that Hyun was absent from school. During class, the teacher handed out a test and strolled around with his stick, making light-hearted jokes and reminding the students to think carefully. As he neared Diho and moved to playfully tap him with the stick, they distinctively grabbed it mid-air. Realizing his overreaction, the young agent quickly released it to avoid embarrassing the teacher. Sensing the tension, the teacher smoothed things over by complimenting Diho's sharp reflexes. During the lunch break, the bullies were eating in the cafeteria, clearly struggling with the injuries Diho had dealt them. They whispered among them. Sitting down with them, Diho calmly asked the ringleader if he knew where Hyun was. Later, Diho went to the teacher and requested permission to leave early, explaining that he wasn't feeling well and had a headache. Still feeling embarrassed about the earlier incident, the teacher was eager to smooth things over and genuinely wanted Diho to leave early, so he promptly approved his request. Around the same time, Diho received his first mission to track down an assassin responsible for eliminating former members of Unit 8, the covert organization he had once served. His first lead was a man who owned a small boxing gym. Diho quickly overpowered him, forcing him into a chair for interrogation. When the man denied any connection to the assassin, Diho shot him in the leg, a sharp reminder that he wasn't bluffing. Just moments later, the man attempted to fight back, swinging a chair and lunging at Diho with a knife. But Diho's superior skills prevailed, and he dispatched the man with a decisive blow. Diho's next stop was a butcher, who initially appeared cooperative, provided the assassin's license plate number. However, moments later, the butcher ambushed him in the cold room of the shop. Using the hanging meat as cover, Diho expertly evaded the attacks and quickly subdued his opponent. Diho prepared to leave. He spotted the assassin nearby and immediately jumped on his bike to pursue. Sensing the threat, the assassin noticed Diho draw his gun and sped away in panic. Diho fired several precise shots, striking the car's tires and forcing it to veer out of control, crashing into a curb and trapping the assassin inside. Approaching with lethal intent, Deho paused when he noticed a crowd forming, some students even recording the scene with their phones. Realizing that killing the assassin now would draw police attention and jeopardize his mission, Deho chose to retreat. He understood this was only the first step in a much longer battle yet to come. One night, Deho returned home only to discover the assassin waiting for him. Wasting no time, he shrugged off his coat and stepped forward, ready for a confrontation. The two clashed in a brutal, high-stakes battle, showcasing their elite training through a flurry of punches and kicks that left the house in shambles. Despite the carnage, Deho's skill and composure gave him the upper hand. Realizing he couldn't overpower Deho, the assassin reached for a gun, but Deho quickly seized his hand, wrestling for control of the weapon. When the gun failed to turn the tide, the assassin revealed a hidden knife and launched another attack. Deho, improvising with a can of soda, deflected the assault and ultimately turned the knife against his opponent. Aware that the fight's aftermath would attract attention, Deho decided to make it look like an accident. He cut a gas line and placed a kitchen knife in the microwave. As the knife sparked, the house erupted in a fiery explosion. Without wasting a moment, Deho jumped on his bike and vanished into the night. After settling into his new home, Deho received a call from the military colonel who had trained him as a spy. This time his mission was to target several members of Zone 35, a rival faction in North Korea. Zone 35 was aligned with Kim Jong-un, the future dictator of North Korea, while Unit 8, Deho's organization, was under the control of the current dictator, Kim Jong-il. Following orders, Deho infiltrated a Zone 35 meeting, launching a surprise attack. He eliminated many of its members and seized a package containing $30 million worth of diamonds. Meanwhile, a high-ranking official in the North Korean government arranged a secret meeting with Chinese and South Korean representatives. During the gathering, he revealed that Kim Jong-il was critically ill and on the brink of death, paving the way for Kim Jong-un to rise to power. Deho was told he could return to North Korea and reunite with his sister. Unbeknownst to him, however, the political landscape had shifted. During the sea transport arranged for his return, the man tasked with escorting him suddenly attacked with a knife. Deho narrowly recovered in time and managed to fight back, ultimately dispatching his attacker. It was then he realized the harsh truth: North Korea itself wanted him dead, leaving him with no way home. And without options, Deho sought refuge at Hyen's house. Exhausted, he drifted into a light sleep while Hyen watched the news. To her shock, a report revealed the identities of spies infiltrating South Korea, including Deho. The following morning, Deho received a call from the colonel. The colonel claimed to be in South Korea with Deho's sister and offered to deal the diamonds in exchange for her freedom. Though Deho suspected it might be a trap, he couldn't abandon his sister. Before heading out, he left a note for Hyen, instructing her to inform the police about his meeting with the colonel. During the tense meeting, Deho and the colonel exchanged their packages, and as expected, a spy attempted to ambush Deho and opened fire, but a quick-acting police officer neutralized the threat. Chaos erupted as North Korean agents engaged in a fierce shootout with the police, while Deho remained locked in a standoff with the colonel. Amid the commotion, a vehicle transporting Little Hen, Deho's sister, attempted to escape but was swiftly intercepted by the police. With his sister now safe, Deho decided to flee, unsure of his next move. Refusing to accept defeat, the colonel retaliated by kidnapping one of Deho's classmates as leverage. Deho immediately contacted a detective, keeping the line open so the police could track the situation. To returning to the colonel, he handed over the diamonds but created an unexpected diversion by tossing them into the air. As the colonel and his men were momentarily distracted by the shimmering cascade, Deho seized the opportunity, drawing his weapon and taking control of the situation with precision and force. Despite taking down numerous enemies, Deho was struck by gunfire. In an effort to turn the tide, he tossed a bag of explosives near a stack of gas canisters, triggering a massive explosion. As Deho attempted to escape with the explosives, a remaining agent caught him. Meanwhile, Hyen was ordered to flee. Deho, thinking quickly, used the agent as a human shield as the colonel moved in and tried to take him down. Grabbing his own gun, Deho continued to fight back as the police arrived, further escalating the chaos. In the midst of the madness, the three men were caught in the crossfire. Deho knew he was facing his most perilous moment, yet his survival depended on a narrow choice between death or imprisonment. Deho told the detective that he needed to bring everything to an end and immediately opened fire on the colonel. The colonel retaliated, and Deho was hit multiple times. His condition deteriorated quickly. The detective and Hyen rushed him to the car, hoping to get him to the hospital in time. But it was too late. Deho passed away in the car, leaving behind the untold story of his friendship and the reasons for everything he had done. Recognizing the depth of Deho's struggle and weight of his actions, Hyan made a vow to become the guardian of Deho's sister. Though Deho was gone, Hyan, the only person Deho had ever fully trusted, would ensure that his sister was cared for and protected.